Kat, and today I'm going to tackle this huge subject about how we react with other people. Do you ever find that some days you will meet somebody and everything goes great, everything works out fine, or with certain people you can just organise things really well and you just work together in tandem perfectly, and there are other people who take things the wrong way, or they're a little bit prickly, or maybe we feel prickly and there's probably something that we do or say. I mean, non-verbal communication, it's such a complex subject that we're programmed with. It's an instinctive thing that we've obviously learned from survival. We apparently take in about 60 to 70% of visual communication before we even hear any words that people say. Apparently we look at the way people's eyes, the pupils can contract if we're close to them, or obviously the stance, the way people are. You know, if they have an open stance, then obviously that's much more welcoming. If somebody is very closed up or looking defensive, then we pick that up as well. So obviously we pick things up from other people, they pick things up from us. We have these huge ways of interacting which we don't even realise we're doing. Desmond Morris did a study about humans and likening them to animals. He was very interested in watching people. He had a book called Man Watching and studied all sorts of forms of non-verbal communication. But I guess I'm trying to also look at the way we can control what we do, or the way we react to other people. And the books that I have looked at to cover this subject are to do with transactional analysis, and that actually concentrates on how either we can be aggressive to people, too aggressive, which again it's a very primitive reaction, fighting, or the fight or flight, there's the other extreme where we either run away or we're very, very passive and we very much just give in and do what we feel we have to do to survive. Again, that's another survival mechanism. And the idea of transactional analysis is to learn the middle way, the way of being assertive, not only asserting our rights, but trying to come to a compromise where we can find the middle way with the other person. And it's not about me being right, you're wrong. It's not about you're right and I'm wrong. It's about we're both right. It's a win-win situation that we're looking for. And obviously it sounds like utopia, it sounds like, oh, why can't we always do this? Don't we often look back and think about a conversation or a row we've had with our nearest and dearest, or maybe just a boss, or even somebody in a restaurant that we don't know very well, anything where we've completely set off on the wrong foot and things have just spiraled down and down and down, got worse and worse, and we've all ended up just feeling really bad and that we haven't got what we wanted. They didn't get what they wanted and we didn't get what we wanted, or one or the other of us feel really bad. So I'm looking at ways we can improve our behaviour, improve the way we get on with people. So obviously being assertive, that's a huge subject anyway, but it's about thinking about our own needs as well as the other person's needs. It's about asking them what they're wanting and saying, how can we find a way forward? How can we do this? We often come across feeling manipulated. I'm thinking of a simple little scenario. Where do we go? Christmas is coming up right now. Where do we spend Christmas? Do we spend it with the in-laws? Do we spend it with our parents? Do we spend it with our new love that we're just totally head over heels with and we want to be away with them? And it's all thinking about pleasing other people, especially Christmas. It's very much a very emotional time to show love and goodwill. And so obviously very often we can put our own wants and desires on one side. And I'm not saying that's bad or wrong. I mean, there's no real right and wrong answers. We just have to find a middle road where we're feeling that we're okay sometimes, as well as the other people that are in our lives. It's getting that balance, I guess, isn't it? Finding the balance. So how do we explain where we want to be this Christmas, for example? Or if we've arranged to meet a friend and we don't actually want to see that friend, we maybe just want to go off and go training or something. In my case, it's usually, oh, well, I want to do that really long run this weekend. How do I tactfully say to those people that I don't really want to go to dinner with them or something like that? And you can say that's selfish. You can, again, that's another topic as well. But it does come into it, looking at your own needs, because I think a lot of us in our lives have always put our needs on one side because we've been thinking about either our family or an invalid or somebody who's not very well, and we're having to think about them first and always put ourselves second. But if we're always putting ourselves second, then we tend to run our batteries down. We don't have as much in us as we could use really to get on very well with people. And gradually we can build up resentments and anger inside us, which we don't even know we have. And then that will come out. It shows subtly. It shows maybe little innuendos that we might just let out when we're not really thinking about what we're saying. And we can just say the wrong things. So again, we're needing to think about ourselves as well. And this thinking about ourselves can reflect all about our confidence as well, because I know in the past I needed lots of approval. I didn't feel worthy unless I had somebody praising me. But gradually, when you start keeping the promises that you've wanted to make to yourself, when you've started saying, well, I really want to achieve this in my life, and when you actually give yourself permission to start to concentrate on doing these things that you really, really want to do, which very often are for other people as well. Depends on what you're doing, art or keeping fit or doing talks or writing books or whatever. A lot of those things are going to help other people, but you need to give yourself permission and time to concentrate on that. So again, it's giving yourself some approval and not relying on other people's approval so that you can get these things done. And again, you don't feel quite as in need of praise. You don't feel like you've got to have someone else telling you how good you are. And if they don't tell you you're much good, if they tell you you're bad even, because let's face it, we all come across situations where we're going to get somebody who's going to bawl at us or shout at us or tell us we're not that brilliant. Inside we've got this basic confidence that we know that we're doing something that we feel is worthwhile, and so it doesn't feel so bad for us. I know at one time I was in a codependent relationship, and everything that the other person thought was absolutely paramount in my life. I was paranoid about this person leaving me, and I spent my whole time trying to prove to this person that I was lovable and I was worthy and I would do what they wanted me to do. And it didn't work. This person didn't really respect me. I wasn't respected for who I was. I was basically a submissive. I was a non-person, a non-worthy person trying to please someone else. And luckily I learnt how to get away from that. But I know other people are in similar sort of situations and they don't feel they can get away, and they might not have that confidence, or they might be frightened of the anger from the other person. And I have spoken about this and touched on this in writing and other videos, so I won't go into detail right now. But very often one of the reasons that stops us from asserting our rights, our basic human rights, is that we're quite frightened of the reaction of the other person, or are they going to be really angry if I actually express what I really feel? And this still holds me back, I must admit. I hate causing upsets. I really don't like telling people, something that they maybe don't want to hear. And I'm trying to make myself learn to do it, because in the end it's fairer on the other person if you are truthful, if you tell your truth as you know it, as you feel it. But it's obviously the way you do it is really, really important, and you have to learn to be tactful. And I'm not saying I'm the world's expert on that. It's really hard always to be completely tactful, especially if you're tired or you're with somebody every day. Friends, family, bosses, work associates, people that we're in contact with all day, every day. We tend to pick up habits, we tend to get into routines with those people. The way they react to us triggers us, and we will react in ways that maybe we look back and we think, oh, why did I do that? Why did I say that? I didn't need to be like that. I've had people who have sort of inquired about my personal circumstances, and I've felt bound to tell them lots and lots of information, and I think back and I think, I didn't really need to do that. Why did I try to justify myself like that? Why? I didn't need to. I could have just said, yeah, okay, if that's the way you feel, So there are so many nuances, so many different things which impinge on our lives. But I think what I'm trying to say is that if we are authentically interested in other people, in trying to find a win-win situation, it might not always work, but if we are sincere and authentic, if we tell our own truths and we tell people what we're looking for, what we want, and then ask them as well, and try to find a compromise rather than having a big fight, then obviously that's going to work a lot better for us. And there's a difference, I think, between that and when somebody is overly aggressive or overbearing and it doesn't work. Obviously, I think we have to work out the difference between somebody who's continually aggressive and continually controlling and dominant and wanting to dominate us and wanting to talk about themselves all the time. There are obviously different personality types that have been discussed in other areas. There are people like the psychotics, obviously, is the longest and the highest end of one spectrum, going to narcissist people who don't have much empathy for other people, to maybe just somebody who's a little bit selfish, and we all can be maybe a little bit selfish sometimes, to the people who are too kind and too giving and always giving of themselves and completely the opposite. So I guess we need to know the difference between those people and know ourselves as well, know what we're mostly like, what is our character, and be aware of ourselves. So I think it's to do with awareness and authenticity and trying to find the compromise. It's been great talking to you. I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.